everyone? This is Aaron, Pastor Bill Ministries. If you can see behind me the banner, you can read. It says, Pastor's Appreciation, thank you for your leadership. Today, we have been together as a ministry for 1 year. Third Sunday in October was the first time we met, and we've just been together ever since then. It's been a great journey, and we just reflected about all the things that we've accomplished along the way. And sometimes we tend to forget about all the things that we've done that were great because we're so focused on the now. And so anyway, today it was a special day because if anyone knows me, I'm not a big celebration party type of person. I just like to keep it moving. So I step in a room and they had it all set up, and my instructions were simply to sit down because it's my day. So I let the people, they took over, and that's fine. You know, I had a sermon prepared, but nothing happened. They had the program set, and so I'm appreciative of that. You know, they got me this watch. Actually, my wife, we got matching sets and stuff, and so got me a bag, and there were cars and things. So I want to thank everyone for everything that they did for me. Got my cake right here, and we got half of it is gone already. It's a big, heavy cake. So thank you for everyone, for everything. And it's unexpected, but I appreciate all of it, and I receive it with a humble heart. So thank you. So what I'm going to do, because there was no word, is last week I was trying to work on a video and upload it, but we had some technical difficulties, so I couldn't get it done. So what I will do is I'll just go over last week's message, and what I have for this week, you'll get it next week. And so it all works out for it. And so last week, if you've been following, we've been talking about money. Everything in the scripture that deals with money, working, investment, things like that. We're going to look at just everything that the Bible has to say about it so that we as believers know how we should function in this world, especially in this country, in the United States, with regard to money, wealth, and possession. You know, should we seek after it? Is it okay to have it? And so a lot of those questions are going to be answered as we go through this. And so last week what we covered was we looked at Genesis chapter 3, verses 17 through 19. And it's all about the concept of working. Yes, work. And I gave this a title of Every Dollar Earned. And some of you who have jobs, and you know your jobs are hard, and when you get your paycheck, you look at your paycheck, whether it's big, whether it's small. But a lot of people out there are looking and say, you know what, every dollar that's on this check, I earned every single one of those dollars, because the work is not easy. There are people out there that are working, they love what they do, and the money is great. But then there are a whole lot of people, they do what they have to do just to survive. And so we're going to look at where that comes from and how it can be a good thing. It's not necessarily a curse. It's a good thing. Work itself is not a curse, and you'll see that. So Genesis chapter 3, verses 17 and 19, here's what they say. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And so what we're looking at right here is basically the beginning of work. The first job that was ever given was given to Adam. And we're not necessarily talking about the instruction he was given by God in the garden, like when he was told to name the animals, but as far as actually like working hard, that's it right there. And so we got to go back somewhere and look at a couple of things so you can get an understanding about where all of this comes from. So let's look at Genesis 1:29 and see that, so we can get a good comparison. Genesis 1:29 says this right here. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. So when God placed Adam in the garden, he said, I've given you everything that grows to eat. It's for you. I've given it to you. In other words, it's there. Go get it when you need it. You don't have to do anything. I've provided it for you. Then we get here and he says, cursed is the ground. And then he uses this word, he says, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. In chapter 1, he says, I've given it to you. God did not take away what he provided. He just put a burden on us obtaining what he has provided. It says in sorrow. That word sorrow can be translated, or synonymous words for sorrow can be these. It can be toil, pain, labor, or hardship. And so when we think about, when we go shopping after we just came from work or got our paycheck, and we think about how hard we had to work just to get the little bit of food that we can get to feed our families or to pay the bills that we have to pay just to have a place to live. And it's hard work for a lot of people. So in sorrow shall we work and toil to get what God has provided. He did not say, I took away the provision. And hold up, I said this before. He did not curse work. He cursed the ground. All right? But he did not say, you shall not produce. He just said, you're going to be producing thorns and thistles, but the supply will always be there. This is in sorrow, and by the sweat of your brow are you going to have to do this until you return to the ground. And so there are three things you want to pull out of this. Number one is there is a discipline about work. The discipline. When you think about discipline, sometimes young people think about discipline as getting in trouble or getting a spanking or getting punished, but that's not what discipline is. Discipline is really a habit or practice of doing something. When you become disciplined, like for example, you wake up in the morning, you have a routine. I get up, I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, wash my face, comb my hair, take a shower. If you do that on a consistent basis, that's a discipline. Is you have trained and conditioned yourself to doing those things, because if you don't do it, there's going to be some adverse consequence to that. I'm not going to smell good or feel good or be clean. And so we're disciplined in that regard. Same thing with people who have homework. I do my homework because I want the A. If I don't do my homework, I don't get the A. So discipline. So when we think about work, there's a discipline when it comes to work. We're going to go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and see what it says there. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verses 10 and 11. Here's what they say. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. For when we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not as all, but are busybodies. So here Paul says, look, if anyone among you, and this is those who are able to work, who doesn't work, that person shouldn't eat. Wouldn't it be a different world today if people who are able to work actually were told that you can't eat because you're not working? Chances are, you starve them long enough, they'll probably get the point and go to work. But that is something to pay attention to. Remember, there's a discipline, and there are a lot of people, if they are, and the word here, it says disorderly. Another translation for that word, or synonymous term for that word disorderly, is undisciplined. There are people out there that are undisciplined, and what the undisciplined people do, they don't work. I'll tell you that. They're sitting on somebody's couch right now thinking about working, talking about working, maybe even wanting to go to work, but not wanting the options available to them. And so they become disciplined and being sluggard and lazy. All right? And so we need to understand this one thing right here, though. God never said that he wouldn't provide for us. Remember, I said that. He did not take away the provision. He just made it difficult to get what he has provided because of the sin that Adam did by eating of the fruit. Sorrow. All right? And so that's one thing we have to learn, that working is not always going to be just fun and great. Sometimes it's going to be, we're just going to go to work and be in sorrow. I'm thinking right now, tomorrow I'm going to get up early and go to work and be there. And sometimes work isn't easy, but I have to do it. And toil is hardship. But to care for my family is what I have to do. He said he would never provide. God just said that the conditions under which we get the provision won't be easy. And so that's one thing a lot of people have to understand, that when it comes to working, it's not always going to be easy, but it's something that we have to do. But it does require a discipline, because if you were put with this challenge where if you won't eat if you don't work, got no choice. Go to work, get disciplined. Now, the second thing you need to understand is this, that there is a wisdom about working. There is. Going to go to Proverbs, look at some of the wisdom literature and see what the wisdom literature has to say about working. We're going to look at chapter 13. There's a whole lot in Proverbs. I'm not going to put it all out right now, but throughout this series you'll hear it. Chapter 13, verse 4 says this: The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Let's go to chapter 20 in Proverbs and look at verse number 4. Proverbs 20 and 4 says this: The sluggard, there's the sluggard again. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, therefore shall he beg and harvest and have nothing. A sluggard person is a lazy person. And so what do we see here in chapter 13? The soul of the sluggard desires. There are lazy people that want things. Just because someone is lazy, it doesn't mean that they don't want anything. They do have desires. They're just not willing to put forth the effort to get what they desire. And then over here in chapter 20, it says that the sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. In other words, the sluggard is always making excuses for why they can't. And so you have people, they want things, but sometimes they're just going to keep making excuses about why they won't go out and work. I've heard people say, I'm too good for minimum wage. But if you can't do anything else, that's all you can do. You go get some skills so that you can make more than minimum wage. But if this is all you can do now, do this, because there's no telling what the discipline of working will do for you. We're going to go to chapter 21 in Proverbs. Look at verse number 25, and here's what it says. It says, The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. Remember, the sluggard desireth but doesn't have because he's making excuses. Now we have the slothful. The desire of the slothful will kill him, for his hands refuse to labor. So again, you got this lazy person who really doesn't want to do what it takes to accomplish that end. Why? His hands refuse to labor. I would much rather somebody give me what I want. I'll be good. I'm just not going to work. No, that's not going to help you out. Chapter 24, verses 30 to 34 in Proverbs say this: I went by the field of the slothful, there's a slothful again, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth or travelleth, and thy want as an armed man. And so the implication is this: this person has everything they need to acquire what they need, but they're not lifting a finger to work what it's been provided. In this case, this person has a field and a vineyard, but they're not doing anything to care for it, to get the produce or the harvest from it so that they can live. Same thing with people who are able-bodied and can work. They're just not going to work. They have everything they need to go out there and get an income to provide for them what they need, but they're not doing a thing about it. And so what's going to wind up happening to them, they're going to find themselves lacking and in want. And maybe one day there's going to be no one to feed you, because if you don't work, you won't eat. And maybe some mothers need to get a hold of this so that their sons will learn that, you know what, I provided for you up to a certain point. Now you got to provide for yourselves. I remember some people from a bit older, back in the day, they would say this: when they turned 18 and graduated from high school, their parents gave them an ultimatum. You're grown, I've raised you, now you're at a point where you got to take care of yourself. They put them out of the houses and said, you got these options: get a job, go to the military, but you have to fend for yourself. Get out there and make a life of your own. We don't do that to people anymore. Cost of living, whatever you want to call it, but there is still wisdom in working. So the first thing we got to understand is that there is a discipline when it comes to work. It's not easy all the time. Everybody's not going to have a job that they love. Second thing, that there is wisdom about working. If you don't do it, you will get nothing. And then the third thing we have to understand is there are rewards when it comes to working. We're going to look at Ecclesiastes, a few things in Ecclesiastes. Chapter 2, verse 24 says this: There is nothing better for a man than he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in all his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. So some people work because they want to get things, but what is it that God gives us as reward for our work? That we are able to eat something, drink something, that our soul can just rest sometimes. That is the reward from God, from our labor. It doesn't say from our good times, from our labor. All right, going to chapter 3, verses 12 and 13 in Ecclesiastes, and it says, I know that there is no good in them, but for man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. So you're saying, how is it that he can enjoy something good from his labor when we just read in Genesis that it's going to be something that's going to be painful and with hardship? What is the good that we can get from our work? From that paycheck, we can buy something to eat and something to drink. It's not that we can get the most expensive buffet meal, but we can get something to eat, have something to drink. That is good that we can get from our labor. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 18 says this, Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for it is his portion to eat, drink, and enjoy the good of our labors. What is it for us to go to work and not be able to do a little something with the money that we make? Now, it was a time when people worked and it wasn't about money, but it was about producing the food that they ate. And our economy is not about producing the food, but it's about getting a paycheck so we can go buy the food that was produced. All right, and so fruit may cost a lot, but you are able to buy something. All right, if it's canned fruit, because you can't buy the fresh fruit, but you can get something to enjoy the good from your labor. One more thing I want to share with you, and back to Genesis, we're going to look at chapter 5. I want you to see something here so that you can understand this whole thing about what God did to Adam with regard to work. Verse 29 says this, And he called his name Noah. This is when Lamech has a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. Now, if you know anything and follow the genealogy from Adam to Noah, you know that this is 14 generations removed from Adam. So we're talking about, 14 times beyond. You just, great. You get the point, right? The 14th generation from Adam, we have Noah who's born, and what does his father say? He says something that references what happened in Genesis chapter 3. He says we shall have comfort concerning our work and the toil of our hands. What God did to Adam. You're now going to have to work and toil. Use your hands to get what I have provided, but it's going to cost you work because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. But remember this, there is reward from working. And what is the reward? That we can eat, drink. That's the good. So remember, there is a discipline when it comes to work. Be disciplined. Get the work done. Go to work, do it. And if you need to get some skills so that you can make more money to have greater rewards, do that if you have the opportunity to do so. There's a wisdom in working, because if you don't work, you're like the slothful and the sluggard, who have the desires, but you're not doing what it takes to get what you desire, because you won't lift a finger to do any work. And then there are rewards to working. So just keep those things in mind. Settle down. Really, just settle down and just go to work. You might not like what you do, but if you do it with all your heart, God sees that, and he will reward you in due time. That due time might come when you make it to eternity, but surely stay faithful. The time will come. Well, I want to thank you for watching and listening. As always, we're just going to continue to trust in God with all that we do. I'm going somewhere with this series, so if you stick with me, hopefully you'll make it to the end and you can reap the benefits if God allows us to do so. So thank you, and you have a blessed day. God bless you.